We are joined today on the Daily Signal podcast by Congressman Louie Gohmert, who represents Texas's 1st Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's great to be with you.
Here at Tampa, Florida. I'd like to talk to you today about immigration. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, A to F, what grade would you give the current administration's handling of the southern border?
Well, they haven't really done anything, so I would give them an incomplete. They deserve an F, but it's worse than that. We're talking about the lives of hundreds of thousands of people that he has disrupted by undoing what President Trump had done to help secure the border. And I know that thing is just to let people keep flooding into our country. There's nothing compassionate about that. These people are risking their lives. We're told maybe 25% or so of the girls that come across have been raped repeatedly. Many will be, end up in sex trafficking. There'll be drug trafficking. I've been there so many times when Border Patrol are going through their questions and with the people that have just come across. And it's not on their list, but sometimes they'll ask, how much did you pay to come in? $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. And they will usually, Border Patrol will say, well, where'd you get that? You don't have that kind of money. And they'll say, we got a little bit here, a little bit there, and they're going to let me work the rest off when I go where I'm going. These are people that are already being indentured servants, and they're going to be shipped all over the country, and they're currently being shipped all over the country. Some bused, some flown. Apparently, we're hearing they're even using military planes in addition to commercial aircraft. But these are people that are often shipped by the U.S. government to places where they will participate in sex trafficking and drug trafficking. And yet the U.S. government is complicit. They're accomplices in these horrible, life-destroying crimes that are going on. Far and away, the most compassionate thing we could do was what President Trump was doing, and that is securing the border. If we can get the tens of billions of dollars that the cartels are making every year off of America, we're sending the money because the border's not secure. Drugs, sex trafficking, that's going to the cartels. They corrupt the country, and that's the only thing that's keeping Mexico from being a top 10 or so economy in the world. They've got a better location than the U.S. They've got great natural resources. They've got hardworking people, but they have this massive amount of corruption at all levels because of the American money going across the unsecure border to the drug cartels. So people are losing their lives. They're abandoning the lives they've loved to come to the United States instead of we hear so often, they say, we loved where we were, we loved our hometown, we loved our neighbors, but we needed to come to America to make money. Well, wouldn't it be great if we could help them not have to leave the place they love and be able to be part of a very vibrant economy? Well, we're sending American dollars down there to corrupt the country. Compassionate people would not allow that to happen. And I'm not accusing Biden of not being compassionate. I don't think he knows what he's doing, but there are people that are calling the shots that do know what they're doing.
And in your opinion, what exactly could the president be doing now to actually be compassionate? If the solution right now is not compassionate, what is?
If he went back and restored the very programs and agreements that Trump had got in place and then expanded upon those. Trump was on the way toward really and truly getting the border secure. And now it's been totally undone. And as President Trump has said, those agreements, like with Central American countries, with Mexico, they don't happen overnight. That took a lot of time, negotiation, and he needs to put those things back. But Biden wouldn't be able to put them back overnight. That takes time. But at least, for heaven's sake, start. Let's secure the border, stop the suffering, get back to being more compassionate.
I think that's a fantastic point. Now, Congressman, you are from Texas, and so you have a very personal connection to this crisis right now. I was wondering if you could sort of paint a picture. You said you visited the border multiple times. Can you paint a picture for our viewers of just what it looks like? What is it like down there?
Well, when I was down there a couple of weeks ago, I didn't get to see the part of the border. I've spent so many hours all night, different days, because the wall that at that place is about a mile and a half or so from the river, the dirt roads that go along the river, because the Border Patrol used the wall to keep me from getting in. They brought in vehicles to cut off my path so that I couldn't get in. We're supposed to have oversight over the Border Patrol. They said I couldn't go in. I tried a couple of nights, but that I had to make an appointment and have somebody appointed who would oversee me so they would make sure I could not do proper oversight of the Border Patrol. Look, I've spent so much time down there, so many of them know me, but they were ordered not to let me get to the border. So at one point I went to the part that's locally owned and controlled and not part of the federal property. But anyway, it's really outrageous that they weren't letting a member of Congress get down there to see for himself what was going on. And I'm not big on dog and pony shows and PowerPoint presentations. I want to see for myself, and that's the one thing that this administration had given orders not to allow me to do.
It does seem the administration is making choices on immigration that are really causing a crisis. And I guess I'm curious because it seems like President Biden has made it 100% clear that he supports amnesty. He supports these things that are going to create a bigger flood of illegal immigrants. So let's say that he is successful. What are the consequences here if President Biden is successful in his immigration agenda? Well,
it will mean the end of the republic as we've known it. We've been moving very quickly that direction. President Obama promised to fundamentally transform America, and that was the one promise that he actually kept. He didn't stand by people, like, for example, if he sent them to Libya to represent him. He didn't stand by our allies. He rewarded the biggest terrorist funding country in the world, gave them money to use for terrorism or whatever they wanted. Did what he could to ostracize Israel. So President Obama did a lot of damage, but he did fundamentally transform this country in ways that are not healthy, not good, unless you're a Marxist, unless you hate the family that Moses said God prescribed as the main building block for society. If you bought into the things that Black Lives Matter, BLM had posted that they believed in before they took them down, then you want to see society destroyed so that a Marxist regime, totalitarian government can take over. And that's what we have been moving much too quickly toward. And I don't know that Biden knows what he's doing, but he's certainly helping move us very, very close to being that Marxist, Orwellian, totalitarian government that you have in a socialist or progressive society. And it's a scary time for America. But what I'm so encouraged about this weekend is these young people. I mean, millennials, we didn't realize they were being miseducated during the years they were, but people are waking up now. And this weekend, these thousands of people that have made their way here they understand what's at risk, and it's great to see them come together and hear what they need to do.
Absolutely. I think that, where we're at right now is definitely indication that things are moving in a positive direction. On that actual note of positive development, on Friday, a federal judge in Texas ruled that DACA is unlawful and will not allow President Biden to accept any new applicants for that program. So in your opinion, is this the right step to go? Is this something we need to improve on? Like, where does this stand to you?
Well, that judge is a brilliant judge. And he was brilliant in law school, and he hasn't lost his intellect. And he understands that the Constitution means what it says. The legislation has to come from the legislature and not from a president, not from bureaucrats. It has to be legislative. And no, the things that he has said are unconstitutional are illegal. They're unconstitutional. And I'm sure that'll go up the way further, but he has the courage of his brilliant intellect and knowing what the Constitution says. So, yes, DACA was passed not even by an executive order. You had a series of memoranda coming out from Homeland Security Secretary, unelected. So it was the right thing to rule. And as I've said many times over many years now, you may be surprised what I'll agree to once the border is secure. But until the border is secure, it is ridiculous to talk about what kind of amnesty, what kind of legality, all this kind of stuff. All that talk does is lure more people to their detriment and this country into being much closer to being lost completely for all time. So to maintain a republic, you have to educate people about what's required. And unfortunately, this administration thinks if we overwhelm the country with people that do not know what it takes to protect a self-governing country, and we don't give them a chance to be educated to that extent, then they'll vote for whomever we tell them, and we'll take over as a Marxist regime. So it's got to stop. Once the border is secure, we will continue, even while we're securing it, to allow over 1 million people a year to come in. There's no country in the world that's that generous with visas as the United States is. So it's not a matter of being a xenophobe. We love immigration. I thank God we have immigrants coming in. But it needs to be done legally. Otherwise, we will lose this greatest, best hope for freedom the world's ever known.
That's an excellent point. Congressman, we are running a little low on time, but I did want to leave the last word to you. So the way I want to do this is, if someone's to take one thing from this interview, what would you want them to take from this interview? And then as a sort of follow-up question, what can Americans who are against an open borders policy, who are against unfettered illegal immigration, what would you suggest that they do to take action?
Well, we still have representatives like me. We're servants of the people, and it is critical that people make their voices heard to their representatives, to their senators. And if they don't do what a majority of their district, their state wants, then they need to be voted out. But please make your voice heard. Please stand up for freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, Second Amendment rights, and push for the teaching of the things we know are absolutely right and absolutely wrong. That has been skewed for 50 years, and you can't keep these rights we've had unless you know there is a right and wrong, and there is a source, as people going through the 12-step program know. There is a higher authority from which real right and wrong come from. So we need to be educating our children, and that means educating them not giving them puberty-blocking drugs that doctors say amount to child abuse, but teaching them right from wrong so they can grow up free.
Excellent point. That was Congressman Louie Gohmert, representative of Texas's 1st District. Thank you so much.
It's great to be with you. Thank you.